Sure.
No, seriously.
Sure.
Seriously. I'm not lying now. No fibbing.
Why don't you just,
I'll bear that in mind. What they're beginning.
I was just going to suggest maybe you should just read it and present it at the same time.
Let's do this.
Welcome everybody, and thank you for coming out on a lovely June evening. I know it's a busy week. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And the first thing I need to do tonight is that we have a couple of people that are away. We have Tanya, who is attending a family graduation in Saskatchewan, and our secretary treasurer is unable to make it tonight. So board business, we actually have to appoint an acting secretary treasurer for this meeting. And I think our assistant superintendent, Tom DeMayo, has kindly volunteered to be that for the evening. So I need a motion to appoint Tom DeMayo as our acting superintendent. Thank you, Kat. Do I have a seconder? All those in favor? See, he couldn't even deny we're so fast. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. The Board of Education acknowledges that we're on the traditional territories of the Comox First Nation. We'd like to thank them for the privilege of living on their land and the gift of working with their children. Before we adopt the agenda, I do have one addition under, before we have, right after board meetings, before old business, would be presentation. And I'm not going to tell you guys what it is, it's a surprise, but it's a really important surprise. And I'm going to delete under old business, trustee remuneration, have that removed. So we will not be dealing with that tonight. So any other additions or omissions to any of the agenda? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended then? Thank you, Sarah Jane. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Kat. All those in favor? Adopted. You see before you the Board of Education minutes from our regular public board meeting of May 28th and our special public board meeting of June the 4th. Is there any errors or omissions to those? Seeing none, a motion to adopt the minutes as presented. Thank you, Kat. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Sarah Jane. All those in favor? Adopted. Thank you. Presentation. I'm really excited for this presentation. We have an honored guest in the audience. It's not you, Kara. Just kidding, it is you. Having a teacher win a Prime Minister's Award is a tremendous honor and proud moment for our school, our school district, students, and their parents. To recognize and celebrate this impressive achievement, we would like to have Kara stand up, please, and approach the bench. Okay. I have here from the Prime Minister's office an award, President Award for you for your outstanding work within our school district with our students. You are an educator who is valued among, you would not believe it. Kara taught my son when he first started grade 2 at Valley View, and I was looking through pictures back then. She's an amazing teacher, amazing educator. We're really honored to have her in our district, and I'm really honored on behalf of the Board of Education to present you this award. Very much deserving, and thank you so much.
We'll celebrate.
Okay, thanks. So,
Congratulations, though. That's wonderful.
some a nice way to end the last board meeting of the year with great news like this. We did have an in-camera meeting on May 28th for personnel issues. We also had one on May 29th for personnel and governance issues. And we also had one on Monday the 17th in camera on personal governance and facilities. Board chairs report. Tonight's really I have mixed emotions about tonight. I'm really excited at the end of the year. It's a time for new beginning. But it's also a sad time of the year because we're saying goodbye to so many wonderful educators, parents, and students in the district that are moving on to new horizons, spreading their wings and traveling around the world, maybe down the road, maybe over to Hornby or some island. But this time I'd like to take the opportunity, first of all, thank my fellow trustees. The last few months we've been busy. Many hours, many day meetings, and tonight we have a couple of really thick, documents, of proof of our hard work. And thank you again for the time and effort you put into that. I know that we're very passionate about education, but we couldn't be here without that. We have a number of parents, educators, and I think Dr. Claire, in the number of years she's worked in our district, and she's moving on, and I'd like to acknowledge and thank her for supporting our students and parents over the years. And then there's this person sitting beside me that arrived here 3 years ago. And I was thinking the other day, what can I say about Dean? Well, I'm thinking in 3 years we've been here, I think it's alignment, cohesive, governance, PowerPoints. But you know what it was, Dean? It was the snow days. It was, you moved in here from Alberta, and I'm trying to count on my hand how many snow days we had before you arrived until after you came. I think we had a lot of snow days. But on behalf of the Board of Education, I would really take this opportunity to thank you for spending 3 years with us. You came in when we were at a very low point in this district. We were in declining enrollment, cutting $2 million a year out of our budget. We were in a place that it wasn't a nice place to be a school trustee because it was really hard. You brought in a breath of fresh air. You created a culture of inclusiveness, engagement. You believe in students and teachers, and the belief that everyone has a voice in public education. It's not about the people at the top, it's about us as a family and a community. And it's been really noticed in our district, and I'm really honored and proud to have been the trustee on the board that you've been our superintendent for 3 years. We are going to miss you, and I wish you all the best in snowy Alberta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And does anybody else have anything to say? Any other trustees want to do a quick little chat or a little word off? Or we?
Well, you know, when Dean often says that he shouldn't say something and he's going to apologize for saying it, and then he says it, and I'm not going to say it. We've enjoyed it a lot.
Great. And I look forward to next year as we welcome our new superintendent, Tom DeMayo. Tom has been a fixture in the school district for many years. He was vice principal when my son was at Vanier a number of years ago. He used to have hair until one of our trustees shaved him at one time and never came back. What can I say? But we look forward, Tom, to working with you for the next few years, maybe 5, 10, 11, something like that one. And congratulations to you, and we're looking forward to that to come September startup. And that was my brief synopsis in a point. That's about it. But we do have some really good presentations and delegations tonight. I'm really excited. We have 2 wonderful people from our district that are going to talk about various environmental sustainability activities. And we have a student, Charlotte. Is it Kimmins?
Yes.
Okay, Kimmins, now you went to the leadership on Hornby Island last, and your presentation is part of that, am I understanding?
Yes, it is.
And you know what, with all this going on with the federal government, what's going on, plastic elimination, that's just perfect timing. I'm really looking forward to your presentation, so I'm turning the floor over to you.
Okay. Where does it work? Should I stay?
Wherever you'd like.
Wherever you like, yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
would have been possible for me without the School District 71 organized Young Women in Ocean Literacy and Leadership Camp that I attended last year. I am so grateful to have been able to participate. At this camp, I learned about problems facing our oceans and how to become a leader in the solutions. Without this camp, I really wouldn't have found a direction to push myself in high school, and I'm so thankful to Serena and to Mary and to everyone here who made that camp a reality last year and again this year. So thank you for that as well. One component of the camp that we participated in was to create a personal action plan. Mine was a plastic elimination initiative for our school district that has grown into my personal program, Head It Out. I focus on the elimination of single-use plastic cutlery items within school districts and communities. Earlier this year, in partnership with the GP Banning Environmental Club, we met with cafeteria staff about making a switch to biodegradable cutlery. During this conversation, it was decided that to implement Cut It Out, there would need to be a majority of student approval for raising cafeteria prices by 25 cents per item. This extra money would cover the cost discrepancy in the utensils. We released a survey to the student body of Banyan. It asked students if they would be willing to raise prices by 25 cents to switch to disposable, biodegradable, plant-based utensils. The survey approval rate was 80%. Unfortunately, despite these results, Banyan cafeteria staff still felt that it would result in undue hardship for their program, and they withdrew their support. My ask is that with this information, we receive support from the school district for the Cut It Out objective by adopting environmentally friendly options and sustainable practices at Banyan within the first term of the 2019-2020 school year. We are specifically looking to reduce plastic waste at Banyan, measured by implementing sustainable alternatives such as disposable, biodegradable, and compostable wooden or cornstarch-based utensils, or by implementing multi-use silverware options. For example, in the Isfeld Salad Bar program, they already have these multi-use silver utensils, and they wash them in their industrial dishwasher each day. I believe that this is achievable in society today with the constant move towards banning single-use plastics. For example, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has just announced that Canada will be banning single-use plastics by 2021, and Courtney has just announced that they will be banning some especially harmful single-use plastics by 2020. Banyan students are in support, even agreeing to pay more for sustainable options. The infrastructure is also already in place, as Banyan has a commercial dishwasher, an industrial dishwasher, the same as dishwasher. This proposal is relevant as it aligns with the School District 71 2019-2020 strategic plan. This plan gives a vision of inclusivity and empowerment so that students and the district have a positive impact on the world, as quoted from page 3 of the School District 71 strategic plan. A stated value of this plan is that global awareness and environmental stewardship. The district claims to value and believe in this objective. Our student population has already voted for change and wants to see action. If the goal is, as stated, of fostering environmental stewardship, the students of Banyan ask that you enable us to cross our finish line. As stated on page 8, the school board wishes to reduce the use of single-use plastics throughout the district. Cut It Out can let you achieve this with, Cut It Out program implementation will allow you to reach all stated goals, and you will inspire the next generation of environmental leaders, showing them that progress is possible. Thank you.
So thank you, Charlotte, for coming and speaking tonight. we actually have 2 speakers talking about environmental issues and sustainability in our school district. And our very first presentation in September is actually by one of our teachers in our district that's leading that charge and that change. So absolutely, we will absolutely consider your conversation. We also have a motion on our agenda tonight to engage in student discussion in the fall to talk about that. And I think you are a bright leader, and I think we are in a very good place, and I think that I'm hopeful now with bright educators and leaders like yourself that will get us in the right direction. Thank you. But you did have a couple asks, and we will take them in consideration, absolutely. We don't make a decision at tonight's board meeting, but you would definitely have heard your voice. And I will now give the opportunity for other trustees to ask any questions or make comments with respect to her presentation tonight. And
So I'm so glad that you included the use of reusable metal cutlery and proper plates, because I originally heard that you were interested in getting rid of the styrofoam plate. So I don't think that we as trustees should need to make that. I know that in costing these things, it is cheaper to buy upfront the cost of the utensils and proper plates. We have dishwasher in place. And so I would expect that on the first day of school, that will be the new regime. I'm sure that our staff can just make sure that that happens. Yeah, so your report is bang on, and I think that we will be happy to support that event.
And is there any chance we can include her slide presentation on our district website and share that? Are you okay with us sharing that?
Absolutely. And I have a website as well that I'm sure.
Maybe you connect with, we'll have Mary, who's our Director of Communications, to connect with you so we can have a link on that one. I look forward to connecting with you and talking to you in the fall, and come to some of our meetings. And I'll let our superintendent know.
Thank you very much.
Dean, did you have something you want to tell?
Yeah, Charlotte, I'm just really, really proud of the work we've done here. Mary and I, conversations all year long. I had a chance to meet with you at Vandy back about January, I think it was December. And just want to pass along thank you for the leadership you've been doing, because that was also instrumental in helping us to get the second camp underway for this coming summer. So we really do need youth capacity in this whole environmental action in order to make a difference on this planet. So thank you. You're a shining light. Thank you.
And you can either stay for the rest of our meeting, or you can escape. I'll leave it up to you to decide what you like, but I'll have no hard feelings if you wanted to leave early. It's okay.
Take off you too.
Thank you.
Okay. Serena, you're up next.
Hi everyone, my name is Serena Allison. I'm the environmental and outdoor learning teacher for the district, and thank you for allowing me to have some time to speak with you today. What I'll be showing you today is just kind of a review of what I've done this year and what our team has done within the district. So a summary of the journey, because this was something that was presented last year and it's come to fruition. So just to show what we've done. And a little ask at the end as well. So just something to reflect on. Environmental and outdoor education helps students develop a powerful relationship with the natural world, understanding ecological systems, and develop the communication and negotiation skills to speak for those systems within the social political structure of our built societies. So this is environmental and outdoor education. So I will be giving you a quick introduction of kind of just about my background, a review of the EOL mission and goals, the year at a glance, as well as kind of what the next year or two hopefully will look like, and a little bit of an ask at the end. So some of my background, I have a BA and a BEd with a specialty in outdoor and experiential education and environmental science. I have some teaching experience as well at the secondary level in many areas. I've also been a wilderness guide for about 15 years. Have extensive first aid training, lifeguarding. I'm an enthusiast, and I'm also a mom, a young girl entering the school system in September. So excited about that. So this position was created with a committee, and they put together the EOL environmental and outdoor learning mission. So just a reminder of what that looks like, to instill caring growth and collaboration through interdisciplinary environmental and outdoor education program that promotes long-lasting connections with the environment, as well as this year I spent the year dissecting this mission and trying to touch base on every aspect of that, which is a fairly large umbrella. So through the committee, this was also laid out kind of the goals for the first year. So I use this as a guide as well. So create a UL resource and website, some community outreach, research at field excursions and extended expeditions, curriculum framework, some teacher support, and build capacity. So again, use this as a guide throughout the year. So one of my first tasks was just to kind of get a survey of what's going on in the district. So I've met with every admin at every school and asked them, well, what are you doing around environmental and outdoor learning, just to get a scope of what's happening. So these were the top 4 things that stood out. Well, we have some existing outdoor programs. We have a lot of champion teachers already doing things in the district. Almost every school has a school garden, and every school has access to outdoor space. Our biggest obstacles: transportation, forms and policy, and funding. So how do we overcome some of those obstacles? So that's what I've been working on. So the first thing I needed to do was figure out we need to collaborate. So we formed an EOL network group and have a representative at each school. We had 2 big meetings this year. We collaborated and brainstormed over those obstacles. And they will, for next year, help with communications through the school and through the staff. I also managed to pull together the skeleton of a UL website. And if you just look at the topics up top, so trying to just clarify some stuff around forms and policy, give some more options around transportation, provided some resources that were Canadian and BC specific, looked at some local field trips that can go in this area, local speakers to bring speakers and specialists to our school, and some possible grants and funding. So with our community educators, we have people that want to help be in our schools. I'm sure you are all aware of that. So a lot of my time this year was connecting with those people so they knew that they had someone to connect to the school. So these are a few of the people that I've connected with, and that list is pages and pages long. The fun part is at the beginning of the year I was reaching out, and now people are starting to reach in and seek out me to spread the word to the school district of programs and opportunities we have for our youth as well as our teachers. One of those groups is the Courtney Fish and Game Club. They want to open up their doors to the school district, and how we've been spending the whole year working on building relationships and what that looks like. I work one-on-one with one of the directors, as well as we formed a committee to have both perspectives of what that relationship would look like. And we just today finished our last pilot group. We had 4 pilot groups go out there. And this is some of the stuff they did when they were out there. They were camping, dragon boating, there was a Boomtown historical period presentation, archery, Project Watershed came out there and did a presentation. There was fishing out of the stocked pond, team building, service projects such as broom busting, and nature and survival activities. And everyone is very excited about the prospect of using that place. It's so close and local and free. So to build those relationships, we also ran a couple pilot projects this year with 2 middle schools. We've offered archery programs through PE. So we ran that through NASP, which is the National Archery in the Schools program. NASP is an American program, and it's larger than junior football and junior golf combined in the state. So it speaks a lot about the program, and it's had over Sampler program at Vanier coordinated a field trip out to some local locations, and the focus was how to use heavy-duty machinery in sensitive habitats. So we had Caitlin O'Neill from Kern Environmental come and help guide us through that process. And this is to show how outdoor and environmental education can be implemented at every level, every aspect of our educational system. These kids are more trained than most tradespeople in this field in utilizing equipment in sensitive habitat. And this is a growing field, and Comox Valley are leaders in it. Yet another pilot project was at Marquette Isfeld. So tapping into the high schools is slightly more challenging because of their time constraints and subject-driven blocks. So the goal was to have all grade 9s at every subject go through an ocean plastics unit. We didn't. So we had approximately 160 grade 9s in both French and English go through an interdisciplinary program around ocean plastics. Each subject approached it slightly different, whether it was the history of the plastics, density of plastics, how this environment movement is social change through social studies. And we kind of a culminating activity is all the grade 9s got bussed out to Deep Bay Marine Field Station, where we did some hands-on programs in the ocean and looked at one of their perils of plastic programs there. And we could not have done it without the support of the teachers participating, as well as the admin at the school for organization and some funding. Transportation was a big hurdle for a lot of people, the expense around that. So I worked with the Comox Regional District as well as BC Transit to offer a discounted price or a flat rate for schools. So it's the school group pass, so $30 for the class to go on. And I don't know if any of you have been driving around town, but there's a lot of students lined up, a lot of classes waiting at the bus stops. It's been so exciting to hear, to visually see classes at bus stops and teachers patiently going, did I get the right bus? Do I have the right time? And I drive a little further and see the bus coming. Oh yeah, they did. Okay. But the feedback has been overwhelming, and people are so excited. So we're going to move forward to phase 2 of that for next year, and just provide more support and maybe provide some opportunities around trip planning and some field trips that are available within routes close to school. So continuing that relationship with the regional district and BC Transit. I'm almost done. So this summer, and it brings us full circle to Charlotte's experience, we are running the second Ocean Literacy and Leadership Camp at Harvey from July 14th to 19th. It's a 4-credit course. Part of the job this year was to also create a DL component of that, so the girls get their full 4 credits. And it's been an amazing process to work and build on what we had last year. We have such a success story with Charlotte. Charlotte's going to be one of our presenters this year as well, so we're bringing in that youth mentorship. And the focus is kind of around environmental optimism. So girls are presented with the issues, and then they're presented with the team and the community, and that's just the community of girls that are going to be there, but in our community, but also our global community that's working towards solutions around environmental sustainability and some of our ocean issues. And then what kind of actions can we take, and that's where Charlotte will definitely step in to help give some guidance. So we have 37 young women coming, 23 are from our district. So that's a big shout out to our district, and support by our district as well. And it's in partnership with Tribute Bay Outdoor Center, Oceanwise University 71, and we get 4 grade 12 credits. And we have some internationally renowned speakers coming, flying up from Toronto, and some local experts coming to present And how does this look for the alignment of a EOL K through 12 integrated curriculum framework? Well, it's building that base, it's building those resources, right? We have a hub, we have a person, and we have opportunities. So we're supporting this school-based EOL action plans, collaborating on program development within our other organizations. We have these liaison communities, networks, right, and helping support schools' initiatives and opportunities. And if we were to look at it, and this is something that will be growing over the next few years, this is kind of a rough outline of how this program looks. In those early years, you're building empathy and those nature connections. That's where that outdoor comes from. So young kids have that connection to the environment, and it's building empathy. And then our intermediate years, we're building on that. So building on those skills and having citizens within the school. And then once we get into our secondary years, we build on action outside of the school and into the communities. And again, Charlotte is a great example of what that looks like, and building on those outdoor skills and connections with nature. So goals, I'm not very good at making my goals small. Jeff has told me that a few times this year already. But those are some of the things I'd like to work on for next year. But the overall goal is a sustained environmental practices supported by the outdoor experiences. And this is how we will measure that by some of these programs getting implemented into our school district. And we know we can do this because we have a strategic plan that echoes it. We have government support, community support, and it's a global movement. We're in the 21st century, right? And this goal is, some of these goals hopefully will be implemented within the next 3 years. So my ask is nothing really specific, but it's for you to be bold and brave and to act, okay, to the district's strategic priority in organizational sustainability and environmental stewardship at all levels with full commitment. Okay, so what does that look like, right? It talks about training. If we look at reconciliation, we've trained our admin. We need to train them in what this environmental and outdoor learning looks like and have that language so that they're empowered to lead the teachers within their schools. When you're having an interview, if you're asking about technology, ask those teachers and who you're interviewing at higher leadership levels how they're implementing environment and outdoor learning. Right? What are our own personal sustainable practices at a district? We are the leaders for our students. How are we representing and how are we leading our students in this? We don't want to build apathy. We need to walk the walk. We need to think about all departments, making sure that everyone is trained. Operations and beyond. Okay, we need to be lead by example. What's the difference between intention versus action? We need to go with full confidence. Potentially consider growing our budget a little bit in this area. That's a little sneak. So change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We're the ones we've been moving for. We are the change that we seek. Thank you for your time tonight.
And Serena, can we get a copy of your presentation also through Mary, that we can have a link to our district website and we can share that with the community? And fellow trustees and members of the audience, we have a presenter coming in September at our board meeting that's going to fit right into what we've talked about tonight. Lucy's coming in and talking about some of the environmental leadership that some of the teachers in the school district are doing that follows with your presentation. Any questions for Serena before? I think they're probably going to escape. I can see you guys get ready to.
I would like to actually thank Dean as one of the initiatives doing the program review on a program that didn't exist, and using that model to create this position and support it. And for me, of course, since I talked about this, have over 12 years ad nauseum, it is one of your great contributions to our district.
And I also say that Dean is one of the reasons why we have the Oceans Leadership on Hornby Island. His connections with Compass and Vancouver Aquarium brought that leadership and that to our district. And I also would like, if the board is okay with this, I'd like to send some invitations to some certain politicians from our board to actually invite them to come out and visit what we're doing on Hornby Island in our school district. If that's okay with you. I'm thinking the Prime Minister, our Premier, Minister of Education. Let's acknowledge what our district is doing and get the word out that we are becoming leaders. We have students that are excellent leaders in environmental stewardship, and I would like for them to be acknowledged. So it's okay with you guys, I'm going to send a couple of letters out on behalf of the board, inviting them to come and participate, get some dates that we come out and visit you and hang out and see what's going on the island. Yes, Sheila?
Just a caveat, I would not invite the current Prime Minister to our meeting.
I will invite the leader of the, I will invite the green person too, don't worry about it.
I just wouldn't go there. There's
Okay. Okay.
not going to be able to be accountable for the result, but.
Okay, he's still our Prime Minister until whenever. Let's move on.
So perhaps we can discuss who's appropriate to invite.
Well, I think that right now, as a Board of Education, we be respectful and invite the current leaders of whether the Prime Minister, whether it's the Premier, whatever political party they are the current leaders of our government, no matter what our political views are, and I'm going to be respectful of that process. We can open the invitation to other politicians and include them in the invitation to make it open and inclusive to everybody. And thank you again. And are you guys going to hang out with us? I know our superintendent wants to have a few words before you leave, but are you guys going to hang out with us?
I appreciate the invitation, but I'm choosing not to attend.
That's okay. I totally understand it. Did you have anything to add there?
I would just like to thank Serena for all of her work. You know, as you may or may not know, she's a 0.5 FTE doing about 2.0 worth of work. What she's been able to do is actually a mammoth undertaking, but what she's done is she's taken the great things that are occurring in SD 71 on a daily basis, and May will know what I'm talking about because May's been a leader of environmental action in her school for years, and as many other schools have. And what Serena's been able to do is develop and align a coherent model for all of these things to connect to, so that we can ensure that K-12 experiences occur for all of our children. And this is really a great work that Serena's doing, but I also think it celebrates the work that May and other people have been doing over the years within their school sites, but creating that articulated district vision that the board has, I think, as Sheila identified, wanted for many years. So I just want to thank all of our teachers and students, because Charlotte still got shivers down from your presentation today, for the great work that's going on.
And we'll look at student forums we're having in the fall. We'll look forward to seeing you there and maybe doing some leadership and some connecting with the students and educating us adults also. It's really important that we also be educated. May, thank you for your time and your energy and your commitment to the district. I'm going to miss you, but I'm sure you're not going to, you're not disappearing. You'll come back and visit us and mentor the many students and teachers over the years. And thank you again for your time. It's really been appreciative. And you guys can escape. I want to hold you here.
Serena, I'm disappointed. I thought you'd have stuck it out. You've always told me perseverance is one of your characteristics.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to actually...
Story time is more.
Story time. So we're going to actually, we're going to add, you're going to connect with Tanya? Okay, so next on the agenda is Education Committee meeting information. There is never a June meeting for Education Committee meeting. Tuesday, September the 10th, we'll have our first Education Committee meeting in the board office, 6:30. That is the time where we have senior leadership, give the board, parents in the district, a start up, what's happening, things you would be aware of, and our plan for the upcoming school year. And we have next on our agenda.
Tanya.
Are you there, Tanya?
Hi, I'm watching you guys.
Oh, okay, thank you for watching us. I appreciate it. So anyway, so making the minutes note that Tanya's has joined us on phone. And I'm going to turn this over to our superintendent, one of his last reports of his time with us.
It is, yes, it is. So it might be.
It's a very important report too.
Oh, we got lots in the works. I wanted to start off by saying I was blown away by those two presentations tonight, and so proud of Kara Dawson's work around the Prime Minister's Award, and we'll make sure that that gets into the next district news, right, Deb? She did? Yeah, perfect. So because I think it's so important to celebrate that. In your package, you actually have the district news, and and it's been very, very busy in terms of some of the work that we're seeing. I'm not sure. I want to just focus on one, and that was I had an opportunity to visit Vanier for the for the ceremony involving Carver Everson and the Thunderbird and Orchid carving that's just located just on the wall beside the main entrance. And hopefully that, I know a few trustees were able to make it. It was a very, very powerful ceremony, and was I think really is a good thing for for Vandy in terms of the focusing on Indigenous learning and ways of knowing in the schools. It's a good connection there. What I'm going to do, Madam Chair, is I'm going to just move out of my chair here and pull up, unless you don't believe us, I was going to pull up the documents we need for this, unless you're okay that we made policies and administrative procedures. Would you like me to bring them up on the
I think that, the trustees okay with what we have on the handbook here, or do you even put it on the screen? What is your pleasure, trustees? We okay with what we've got on our paper here? Or do you, you're good? Okay, we'll just continue on.
So essentially, the board policy and administrative procedure has been something the board's been working on for an extended period of time, taking a look and building, ensuring that our policies and admin procedures are in alignment with the needs of the board, but also with legislation, with regulation, and so on. So we worked with a facilitator, Dr. Leroy Sloaner, on the governance model, and I'm bringing before you, it's on the webpage under the board package for this month. The board policies administrative procedure requires 3 recommendations, so I would turn it over to you,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
So before we go to the recommendations, this is the opportunity for trustees to have any questions or wish to have any changes, amendments, or that prior to us moving forward. Do trustees have any comments, questions, or concerns about the document before us?
I do want to note that we do have some ongoing concerns that we will deal with in September. I want that noted.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, good.
Policy committee.
I will just say that this is, for those of you who don't know, I think we spent probably we had 4 all-day sessions, and I know that you,
We've
as
got
our
hundreds of hours in
superintendent,
this.
hundreds of hours, and through you and our executive assistant, Deborah Page, on her typing and retyping and coming back and forth on behalf of the Board of Education. Thank you to all, and our senior management who came and spent many hours with us and did their input on that one there. Boards of education are governed by policy, and this guides our work as a board and how we operate and our process. So this is important work, and you're right, Trustee McDonald, there are a couple of minor things that we want to adjust, but the majority of it's here, and I think we can adopt it and deal with those minor issues in the fall, but the basis is here, and I think it's good work that we can move forward and have that foundation and that start to move on. So there's a number of processes that we have to do. We have to, there's 3 on here, and we have to actually get rid of some, keep some, and add them again. It's kind of a step process on here. So I would like to know if someone would read the first recommendation. Thank you, Sarah Jane.
That effective August 1st, 2019, all current school district number 71, Comox Valley, administrative procedures, bylaws, board policies, with the exception of the trustee elections bylaw and the appeals bylaw, be rescinded.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Kat. Any questions? And just understand that we actually have to rescind all our policies before we can adopt the new ones. So that's the process, but we're keeping the bylaws on trustees elections and the appeals bylaws. Those are 2 bylaws that we need to keep, so that's the process here. It's just going to be just a temporary, we don't have anything in place. Call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? And you wish to have your vote as recorded there, Sheila, as abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
Do you want to have it recorded as abstaining, or you?
Yes, please.
Okay. You got that, Debbie? Okay, thank you. Tanya, what did you vote, yes or no, or abstaining?
I'm having a hard time hearing you guys.
Okay. Are you voting for the recommendation that we suspend them? The first one? Oh, you can't hear us, can you?
Can we move that closer to the board chair?
I will vote for.
4, okay, thanks. So we have 6, 4, and 1 abstention, with Sheila recording her vote. Second one is that, reader for the second one, please. Sarah, Michelle, thank you.
That effective June 25th, 2019, the Board of Education approved the board policy handbook as provided.
Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Sarah Jane. All those in favor? Tanya, are you voting yes?
Yes.
Okay, all those against? Abstention? You want to record your vote?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, we got a typo, that should be August first, I apologize,
Okay, so
my fault.
we've already voted on it, so I'm going to have to, I need a motion to amend the motion. Michelle, can you move, that we move the previous amended to the date?
August first, my
Tom?
apologies.
That's okay.
So I'd like to amend the motion to read that effective August 1st, 2019, the Board of Education approve the board policy handbook as provided.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Sarah Jane. All those in favor? All those opposed? You just gonna, you want your vote, just abstain again, or just wanna leave it?
Well, I missed abstaining.
Okay,
Yes,
okay, got it,
thank you.
perfect. Are you voting for there, Tanya?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, my apologies, I totally missed that myself also, so I do apologize.
It's all right.
It's the last meeting of the year. Okay, we now have, the third part of that, and I'll have the superintendent, can you explain what that means? Receipt for information of the administrative procedure, and why that's different, let people know what the difference of that is.
So essentially, because the policy and minute procedures are still reflective of the past policies and minute procedures, but have been reframed. You know, we've got, for example, if I talk about a new policy, there's an indemnification policy for trustees that have been implemented. Other ones have been, the language has been shifted, because if you've gone through our old policy handbook, we actually have policies that date back to 1987. And it took a long time to start to remove these and adjust them. The board has limited and moved a number of the policies into administrative procedures, which just means how the administration respond to assist in moving the district forward. And so essentially, admin procedures are the administrative rule book on how we proceed. The process on administrative procedures is that as we create new ones or amend old ones, they will, as we move forward, come to the board as information. First of all, the first process though is they will go through the policy committee. Policy committee will review, make recommendations, but they're really the superintendent's rule book for implementing work in the district.
Thank you. Perfect. Any questions? Yes, sir. Jen.
No, sorry.
Okay, would you like to make the motion?
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
was gonna do. I was just gonna do it.
Okay, go ahead.
That the Board of Education acknowledge receipt for information purposes only, the Administrative Procedures Manual.
Do I have a seconder for that? Kat, any questions? Did you hear that there, Tanya?
Yes.
Okay, call the question. All those in favor? Tanya, are you voting for?
Yes.
Okay, all those opposed? And one abstention still?
No, I'm just gonna stick with, oh, we have two abstentions.
Two abstentions? Do you like both have your names recorded for that?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Okie dokie, and next on the list, and I think we put this one up there, is the approval of the 2019-23 strategic plan, and our superintendent will speak to that also. Trustees, I do have for us some hard copies. Trustees, and it's just for us. And pass you guys that around.
I'm
Yeah.
excited.
So the Board of Education strategic plan, this is the culmination of a lot of work that began when the last one expired in December 31st, 2018. We've had a significant amount of consultation within the board, within the community, and within staff across the district. What this recognizes is the new direction for what will guide the board's work over the next 4 years. Quite proud of this because this document was developed in such a way as to enable, I'll call it a living document or a working document. As the board proceeds and they find gaps at a very high level, they can make adjustments in order to reflect the needs of the district. So the board, I'm just going to cursor through here, I'm not going to go through the message specifically, but in Janice's report, it does talk about the fact that it's the board's map for continuing our journey toward excellence over the next 4 years. It's an ongoing process that allows for progress reporting to the board using our district's model for program evaluations, program reviews, evidence-based decision-making, and so on. It is truly a working document, a living document. And hats off to Mary for the great picture she's found across the district in terms of recognizing a wide variety of elements that take place in ASP 71, from our elder program to trades. Do you recognize that one picture at the bottom, Kat?
Yep, sure do.
I just found out that was your daughter the other day, actually. It's, our mission, so I think I'm gonna go back to the vision. An inclusive learning community that embraces diversity, fosters relationships, and empowers all learners to have a positive impact on the world. That was a theme throughout all the consultations. Even tonight when you heard Charlotte's presentation and Serena's presentation, the connection to our global awareness. Our mission to inspire engaged, compassionate, resilient, lifelong learners and cultivate a collaborative community together. Now, as we work through this, keep in mind, this is my favorite one, not putting value statements, but keep in mind that this will also guide the board's work, the school's work. So the schools will, in the development of the student learning framework, but also other planning, need to reflect on this document and the board's student learning framework as well here. So we need to understand that as we guide this, schools are going to make this connect into their schools. So as they move their schools forward, becoming unique, valuable, and attractive to their local community, they're also ensuring that they're reflective of the broader district mission, vision, values, beliefs, and so on. But I really believe that this really did capture, I know the board, you spent a fair bit of time looking at this. This took up a lot of time in the consultations as well, which is very interesting in trees. I truly believe that it's grouping them and looking at how can we capture as many words as possible on one page that demonstrates what you want this district to value. And I think that does it capture all? Probably not, but you know what? It's a flexible document. You can come back and say, I think we need to touch this a little bit in a different way if you need to later on here. So strategic priority 1 is educational excellence. Optimize innovative practices and learning opportunities. Now, one of the things that we emphasize throughout is this has to be doable. If we create 100 action statements, we're not going to accomplish anything. It has to be doable. So, are those the only 4? No, because what you'll find is that schools will connect to the goal of optimizing innovative practices and learning and opportunities. You'll find that our budget and our resources need to connect into that as well as our actions. But schools will also connect into these action statements as well through their own work. Providing ongoing professional development. We hear that on an ongoing basis that our support staff and our teachers need that. It was reflected in our dialogue with our support staff and with QP and with CDT over the last year about how do we do that. Nick, you're here, Lisa, you're here. A large amount of the work that both you folks have been doing with your groups in terms of trying to drive forward the supports that they need to be effective in their positions. And just hats off to both of those groups. Encourage and support staff innovative practices of education. Again, enabling the staff. Daniel Pink talks about the opportunity when we talk about motivation of our people, that we need to enable that level of professional autonomy for the people to seek out what they're interested in, but there has to be opportunity it has to be purposeful, and there has to be opportunity for mastery. When we achieve those things, we will achieve and support our motivated educators and support staff in our buildings who will ultimately make a difference for our kids. Foster a climate that supports real-world connections with learning. We see that on a daily basis in our schools, but this is going to re-emphasize that piece. Include indigenous knowledge and perspectives into teaching and learning. We heard that. That was a theme that resonated throughout all of the consultations. Madam Chair, I hope it's okay if I'm taking this kind of time for this piece.
Well, I think it's a really important document that it's, very acceptable to take the time.
Are you okay?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So strategic priority community engagement, Two goals are here: deepen integration of Indigenous ways of knowing, and the second goal, foster relationships with community, parents, and educational partners. 3 years ago, and probably before that, but I want to draw on that a couple of trustees, Sheila being one of them, really pushed hard for community engagement. I know the board said, yes, we need that. And since that time, we've seen community engagement increase significantly. But we also, the board is also committed deeply into the work with our Indigenous Education Council and other groups to ensure that, first of all, around the reconciliation, truth and reconciliation has been honored and so on. So if we look at our goal 1, we need to work in partnership with IEC to implement and celebrate the Indigenous Education Agreement. We're very, very close. I believe at the end of this month, a draft will be complete, will have been completed. That will come to the board probably, Tom, I'm guessing September, I would guess. That was Julie McCrae's work with Bruce Carlos and the IEC around that. Embed the Truth and Reconciliation recommendations throughout the district. We saw that the other day as an example at Highland with the 94 presentation. Display tri-language signage at all sites and facilities, increase communication with IEC, and embrace established Indigenous protocols. Under the relationships goal, continue to reimagine organizational culture. Continue to foster a positive working relationship with community, collaborative, and early learning partners. So again, this is not, these are examples that can be much broader than that, but we want to make sure that this is doable. This is a starting point. Our third priority, organizational stability and environmental stewardship. You saw tonight with 2 presentations how they drew upon this immediately. And this has been something, again, that was a theme that resonated through all the consultations, not only from the board, not only from the staff, but from the students and the community. We have 2 goals. One is optimize infrastructure to support learning and ensure long-range facility plans are aligned with 21st century practices, and maximize the use of school and community facilities to support learning. Fostering environmental stewardship, which is critical. Align outdoor and environmental learning opportunities for long-term sustainability. Reduce carbon emission and environmental footprint. Support the establishment and augmentation of school garden projects. And that will also link in with a lot of the work that our PACs are doing around our salad programs, the salad bar programs, and all of the other aspects. Reduce the use of single-use plastics throughout the district. Implement strategies for zero waste by increasing recycling and composting efforts in all facilities. Augment the active travel program and public transit commute initiative. And you saw that with Serena's presentation tonight too, around the BC Transit Pass as well, right? And that links in with that kind of work that we begin to see, not just in one area, but percolates in all aspects of the district. And our last goal, or priority, physical health and mental well-being, another critical one that was heard. Previously, as you're aware, the previous strategic plan, we had 3 priorities. This one, board chair, we have 4. We created a 4th one through your guidance and directions from the board. First of all, one goal, invest in the holistic well-being of our people. And again, these actions I want to reemphasize, will manifest differently in all of our schools, but they will regardless. But the actions, implement a district-wide mental health initiative. Huge issue for our district. We need to continue to work around that aspect. Continue to work through wellness programs. Support our people. Support our staff. Support staff, teachers, PVP, and so on, in order to be able to be effective in their jobs. And the last one was continue to build capacity in sexual health education. Board, this is an example of the responsiveness of this document. You heard from many different emails from parents and so on, but also other aspects. And so this one here, the final action is in here as well. It's also all of the different actions and goals are supported throughout the budget process as well. So Madam Chair, I'll turn it back to you for the resolution.
So any questions from trustees around the document presented? I know, Sheila, that you had some comments about the squares and whatever it is. I did talk to Mary about that, and it just that it had, yeah, with the
Yeah.
on that one there.
Hard to read?
Well, no, she was wondering if we can get rid of them, and I did talk to Mary on that one.
The individual squares
Individuals,
caused
yeah.
a problem, but the one big square of those actions
Yeah,
solved the
that's
problem.
fine.
I
Okay, we're
think
good?
it looks
Perfect,
really
okay,
good.
good.
I mean, that's
Yes, yes,
technical.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so, thank you again, to our superintendent,
Well, it's a
and-
team effort, a
and
board.
I haven't
Oh,
quite
sorry,
finished
I'm
yet.
sorry.
I know it's your last meeting and you wanna get done with this, I get
No,
that.
I don't. I want to make sure it's a shared thing because it was community-wide.
And I was gonna say, and to, our assistant superintendent, Tom DeMayo, and our director of instructions, Jeff Manning, and of course, Esther Shafts, and, Linda Marie Candace, and Ian and Josh, along with the rest of the board. They came to all our meetings. I know that Jeff and Tom led many of the conversations and some of the discussions with us on that one there, and along with you. So it is a team effort. But this is the work that we've done, and I will say that some of the comments here, the holistic one, we heard different from parents in the community, that was really important. And we did, you'll notice that to some of our parents here, the original draft did not have the continue to build capacity in sexual health education in there, but we asked for feedback, we heard it was really important, and we felt it was important to continue that work, and we identified that as part of our goals. So we do listen, and we do respond to community engagement, and that's what we're committed to do. And I think this document here shows that we do value the work that we do with our parents in our community. Tanya, do you have any questions? She went away. She's in Saskatchewan, must be the time difference back there. She's having a nap. Anyway, so I need someone to make a motion to, I think there is a motion here, and I'm going to, the recommendation, would somebody like to move the recommendation, Sheila?
I'd be very happy to recommend, to move that the Board of Education approve the 2019-23 Comox Valley Schools Strategic Plan.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Kat. Any other comments or questions? Now, you'll notice that we have copies of this because we're special. But we will have a couple extra copies printed off, and they will be on that one there. But to reduce our digital, to reduce the number of trees that we're cutting down and using, we're going to have most of this be on the website. But we will make some copies available, minimal copies, maybe one for each school or something like that. That we can have a couple hard copies out there. But we're not going to do mass hundreds of them. It's just going to be a few. It's mostly going to be on the website. Just let people know that that's our intent, to go more digital and save more trees.
But we will have these all under our pillows, so that
Yes.
Janice, if we could just note that motion would move the apostrophe in schools.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Got it.
Don't want to make any mistakes on it. Yes. And I was speaking in favor of this motion, and I'm happy to do so because I feel very much it was our process. It was very collaborative. The input from groups, the consultations, all of those words that encouragement to make our actions, our vision and mission more active, and all of that would really resonated. I thought we had, good vision and mission the last time, but I think it's gotten a little boost in the meaning of what those words mean to us. And it was a good process. It was our process. Yeah.
I can say it's ours. It's not just us, the board. It's us and the community.
Yeah.
We engaged our community. We listened. We had those community consultations.
Yeah, they were
I think
very
very full community
Yeah.
consultations, and
Yeah.
lots of emails. And I do appreciate the emails and the input that we had from our community on
Yeah.
that one there.
Yeah.
Any other comments? And you'll make a note that we lost Tanya. Okay. All those in favor?
Lost in
I have
Saskatchewan.
one last thing.
Okay. And you want to have closing? If you want to close?
I have one last little thing here. I just want to take this opportunity to extend my appreciation and thanks to the board for your governance and leadership over the last this board here for the last, 8 months, and previous that, the previous board. It's been a great 3 years. I want to take this opportunity also to thank my senior leadership team for the great work they're doing. I want to extend out to the work that goes on in our schools, which is truly amazing every day. I'm blown away by the quality of people in our schools. Support staff, please, Lisa, please pass along my thank you to all of our support staff in this district. The work that you folks do on a daily basis, whether it's in the schools or in the operations side of the organization, is truly it's appreciated by me. It's been great. Nick and Sherry, I'd really ask you to do the same thing. We celebrate the innovation and creativity of so many great teachers in our district that work hard to provide excellence of instruction for our students on a daily basis. I've been witness to so many in my, as I go through the school, and everyone gives 100%. Please extend my thank you. Charles, same thing to the PVP. It's been a pleasure working with our principals and vice principals. And just in closing, it's been 3 amazing years. This is truly an amazing school district, folks. I'm just not sure that everyone knows how good this district is. The creativity, the opportunities for our students that they get on a daily basis in our classrooms is second to none. And Charlotte, what a fitting way for my last board meeting with this group to have Charlotte present tonight and show you how these kids or students, these wonderful students, are taking action from what they're learning in our school and outside of our schools to make a difference. And that's really what I think should make all of our trustees proud. I know it makes me proud as a superintendent. But I want to thank you guys for this opportunity. It's been a wonderful one, so thank you.
Thank you.
And you wonder how long it's been going, didn't you?
Well, I was kind of wondering, it was like a 20-minute one, because Ellen Douglas was going for like 45 minutes, but
No.
but you're okay. I know that you're, Dean, I think it's gonna be a little bit of a void left in the district after you leave, but I'm sure that Tom's big shoes can fill it, and his shoes are a little bit bigger than yours, so I think we're doing okay.
Yeah, I would say so. And by the way, yes, Madam Chair, you're wishing Tom, good luck with that, and also all the senior leadership, because the excellence will continue, as will with the board.
Yeah, thank you. We have a couple of verbal reports updates, and I can turn this over to Director Extra Schatz, Student Services, Sexual Health Delivery Update. I think that this is a conversation we talked about recording after meeting with Dr. Claire. You reported out to the board some of the feedback and information that we have, and I'll turn it over to you.
Through you, Madam Chair, Director Manning and I met with Dr. Vanston on June 11th to review our 2018-19 Sexual Health Capacity Training Initiative. Our plan this year addressed both elementary and secondary delivery of the sexual health curriculum. During our August Pro D Days, a group of secondary teachers who are responsible for the delivery of sexual health curriculum and those teachers interested in the delivery of the sexual health curriculum, as well as administrators, met with Dr. Vanston, who provided in-depth training, scripts, activities, and resources. The resources were for teachers, students, and parents, and follow-up sessions were also provided. Our elementary school initiative involved Dr. Vanston visiting each school, and rather than teaching the curriculum as she had been, she led training sessions at each grade level, providing scripts, activities, and resources. The resources again were for teachers, students, and parents. The entire sexual health curriculum is posted on our website. Dr. Vanston held follow-up sessions with each school, teachers, and parents. She provided comprehensive notes and recommendations to each school. The teacher training and follow-up included 24 different schools or locations and 2 well-attended parent education sessions. Dr. Vanston estimates that there has been 90 to 95% teacher delivery across the district. Teachers have spent more time than Dr. Vanston would have delivering the material. Teachers stepped out of their comfort zones to teach their students, and students reported that they appreciated having their teachers deliver the content. Teachers found the lessons, PowerPoints, useful, teacher-friendly, efficient, and convenient. Next year's budget has an allocation of the equivalent of a 0.2 FTE, which is approximately $20,000 to the Sexual Health Initiative for the 2019-2020 school year. After consultation with the PVPs, it's our recommendation that we contract Dr. Vanston 4 hours per month throughout the school year to provide consultation regarding critical issues and resources. That we use the remainder of the FTE equivalents to provide release time for those teachers who are in need of training and to purchase and update resources as necessary. That we reestablish our relationship with our community partners, Island Health in particular, to provide expert consultation and topical sessions to our students. That we design a learning series for grade 11 and 12 students outside of the curriculum regarding issues of consent, digital safety, and preparing for life after high school. And our 5th recommendation is that we invite Dr. Vanston to present at the 2020 teacher program.
Thank you. Any questions to Director Schatz regarding her report and back to the board on the meeting? Thank you, and thank you and your for the good work, and pass it on to the teachers. I know some of them were definitely out of their comfort zone, and I really appreciate the fact that they willing to learn themselves and connect with their students is really important, as we all know. Yeah, thank you. Our acting secretary treasurer, Mr. DeMayo, you've got a couple of reports here.
Apparently, thank you. So, let's see how this works. The Personal Information Directory is a requirement under the Protection of Privacy Act, or Freedom of Information Protection Privacy. And what it is, in essence, is a database of where personal information is stored and what type of information is stored. And that is a requirement, and it's quite a task to amass that information and create it. But the PID, as it's called, will be posted on the district's website. And Josh, any idea, has it been uploaded yet? Okay, so it'll be up there and people can find out what type of information and where it's located. This is a statutory requirement, so that has been completed.
And so any questions on, question, there was some talk from other school districts about staying in Canada or out of Canada where this is located. Most of our stuff is still within.
Correct, it's in Canada.
It's in Canada?
Correct.
Okay, that's good to know. Any other questions on the report? Have a motion to receive the report. Thank you, Sarah Jane. I'll second her. Thank you, Sheila. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. You see before you the 2019-2020 board meeting schedule. There's dates on there. You will notice that there were no meeting dates in July and August. Boards of Education, this board does not normally meet in July and August. Not saying that we will never meet in July and August, just that there are no scheduled meetings. We could, if we need a meeting, give you 48 hours notice and call a meeting, but typically July and August, we like to have our senior staff take some time off and enjoy time with their family. They see enough of us 10 months of the year. We'll give them 2 months without seeing our faces at the table here. So, do you have anything to add there?
Nope.
Okay, I have a recommendation from someone at the Board of Education, approve the 2019-2020 board meeting schedule as presented. Thank you, Kat. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Sarah Jane. Any other questions or comments? See none, all those in favor? It's been approved, thank you. Retirements and resignations. And that's usually our vice chair's job.
Do you want me to just quickly read them?
You want to read them?
Do you want me to just quickly read them?
Yes, please.
Retirements. Annie Balding, teacher, Laketown Middle School, will retire effective July 31st, 2019, after 20 years of service with the district. Patricia Vermette, youth and family program worker, Lake Trail Middle School, will retire effective August 31st, 2019, after 14 years of service with the district. And do I do the recognitions as well? Well, I've already said it, so now I'm doing it.
Yep.
Jessica Flowers, Indigenous support worker, Miracle Beach Elementary School, will resign effective June 27, 2019, after 2 years of service with the district. And Kelly Allen, education assistant on leave, Royston Arden Elementary Schools, resigned effective May 21st, 2019, after 8 years of service with the district.
Just before we move on and receive that report as information, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Linda Marie Hatfield, Nick Moore, Carol Schelling, and Denise Bullock. The wellness, work to wellness committee that they have, and the retirement long-term service evening the other week was amazing. It was really well attended. I think it's probably the most well attended I've seen in a number of times. And Linda, would you like to add any additions to that?
And we have 41 retirees and 23 long service employees with more than 20 years of service. So it was a great, great event, and thank you all for participating.
Okay, thank you for hosting that. And I noticed that Ian didn't do any photo hops that night, so.
He was being restrained at the back of the room.
I saw that. Could I have a mover to receive the report as information, please? Thank you, Sarah Jane. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Michelle. All those in favor? Everyone's carried. Thank you. Finance Committee, unfortunately, we've lost Tanya. Ian, you read that meeting. I'm going to turn that over to you. If you could speak to the Finance Committee report, please.
Well, the Finance Committee's report is there. Are there any questions?
Candace, do you have anything you want to add?
No.
I'm just throwing you, just double checking.
It's all good.
It's all good?
So I present the recommendation that the Board of Education receive the Finance Committee's board report as provided.
Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Sarah Jane. All those in favor? Thank you. The Audit Committee Board Report, Ian, did you want to speak to that, or? is it-
Absolutely, it was fascinating. And my report is here, included for all. Any questions? Thank you. Then I will make the recommendation that the Board of Education receive the Audit Committee Board Report as provided.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Sarah Jane. All those in favor? And it's passed. Thank you.
And I'm the head of the Facilities Committee.
Excuse me.
Perfect.
Excuse me.
Sorry, Madam Chair. Got carried away with my power.
Okay, facilities report. I understand that through you, Mr. Chair of the committee, that Director Ian Hesselgrave will also be doing a presentation, so I'll leave it up to you to determine which Ian's going to speak first.
Oh, I definitely will hand it over to my superior. And Mr. Hasselgrave shall present.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hargraves. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes because we have a very exciting project starting on Tuesday, July 2nd. Before we do that, though, a couple of items that came up in the facility committee. Hornby Island, that is, we're 10 months post-fire at Hornby Island. And on June 20th, which was the past Thursday, we had a community information and consultation session that was exceptionally well attended. About 125 members of the Hornby Island community attended this event at the hall, which is extraordinary when you consider the population of Hornby is about 900. So that would be like 30,000 people coming to a school meeting in Victoria. So it was really well attended, and we were able to give an update on the steps that have taken place and are taking place to work with the ministry in order to secure a replacement. So that was good. It kind of carries us into the summer, and we have the Secretary Treasurer and I have a conference call with the ministry on Thursday about the Hornby School project, and we hope to have something between now and September or a further update certainly. The other item that was sort of near and dear to the facility committee was we submitted the first new spaces grant through MCFP for a child care facility on school property, and that grant was completed on June the 6th, and that is for preschool at Demna School. There's $1 million available. I've had one phone conversation with MCFP since the grant was submitted. It's a really straightforward process, and hopefully this will guide us as we move forward in further opportunities for this. The exciting thing coming, which I know everyone is very excited about, is Lake Trail. So speaking with the facilities committee and the trustees at the last in-camera meeting, and certainly facilities committee meeting, this has been, I wouldn't say lying dormant, but it's a very long time to get to the place where when you start a project like this and all the paperwork till something actually happens. And about a week from now, something's actually going to happen. It has a dramatic impact on the users of the school, the teachers, the educational assistants, the support staff that are there, international schools program, and the physical building itself. So I just want to take a minute to wander through from how we got from there, which was scratching out an application, to us actually putting shovels in the ground. Okay, November 2016 is when this all started. Vanny was finally underway, and the next seismic had to really get going. We would like to do them in succession. As one finishes, the next one starts, which means you have to spend a couple of years really preparing yourself. Highest risk site that we had is Lake Trail. So the project request fact sheet, ministry document was started for that. In December, it was submitted to the Ministry of Education. It's a primer. You want them to believe in the project and fund you to take the next step, which is a fairly big next step, and that's putting together a project definition report. Generally, once you involve a large consulting team for this, you can do about $150,000. They always say, don't start one of these without our permission. And so you have to wait. And in March, in the capital plan for year 17 and 18, receive permission to do a project definition report. And it launches a process. It takes many months to write this. And it's really detailed solutions. How can we deal with this high seismic risk at Lake Trail School? We start off with the schematic drawing. That's the school itself. The pinky purple part, or lavender, is the 1999 edition that was added to that school. And it's seismically sound. It's a gymnasium. It's a special education area across the hallway from the gymnasium, a library, and a media room. That area is great. So that's the only area that's great in that school. So building upon that, the idea you can see in the red outline is let's expand off towards the old school proper and straight north, and let's build a new wing. So take the bones at 99 section and build around it. And after it's done, demolish the rest of the school. So we had that discussion of us actually building a significant portion of a new school, lots of trips to Victoria, lots of back and forth. It's a bit of a ping pong game. You put in ideas and they send you back questions. So we finally, from kind of starting and getting that go-ahead in March 2017, to write this project definition report, we submitted the final version in February 2018. And the Board of Education committed $1 million to that to give us a preferred option that we wanted. It was a little more expensive than probably where the ministry wanted us to go. That led to an acceptance of our PDR, an approval, and a capital project funding agreement where they give you the official documents saying you've got a bunch of money to do this. When you get that, that's when the fun really begins. And getting that agreement, we launched into a process of educational design committee, all the partner groups, PAC, EPAC, teachers, support staff, trustees, senior educational leaders, community members getting together to go, what's this building going to look like? And then after that piece of work, we really sent the architect away to go, take all these findings, discussion points, and knowledge, and make us a nice design drawing for us to review again in the fall. And then in the fall, when we came to a place where, yes, this is what we're going to do, then you get into detailed design where all the professionals take those concepts and turn it into drawings that we can work from. So that was another lengthy process about over February. $27 million project. A bunch of it is reserved, and a lot of it is construction. And in there you'll notice there's $1.3 million for daycare. So we were funded for that by the Ministry of Education to meet the present government's work toward providing increased childcare spaces. So there will be daycare ability for childcare space on the school site. As we moved from that place in May 2018 to where we're going to start to really hammer into the project, which is again almost a year later, lots of cost escalation, huge volume of construction on Magna Ground, pushing prices up 1% a month. So if you think of $30 million, 1% a month is $3 million a year. That just is really challenging. And on July 1st, 2018, the Trump tariffs came in. We're facing about $1 million additional charges just for the steel in the project. Of course, unforecast and not in that date agreement. So as we worked through some of these challenges in pricing, we were going back and forth with the ministry again. In late April, we agreed we would reduce the scope. So 600, the school was being built to 600, reduced to 500. When we reduced that scope, we were mindful of maintaining the integrity of all the work of the Educational Design Committee, so the scope and quality character we had before. And if we need to expand by that 100, how are we going to do that in a reasonable and economical way? So we redesigned with the reduced scope, and on June 1st, we kind of hit that magic marker and went, here's our new design concept, here's the pricing on it, it actually meets our budget, so we're pressing forward. So we've been in a holding pattern for a little while. As we press forward, we want our construction drawings ready by the end of June, and our final cost of the ministry to get permission to attend the day. One last look to say yes. What it means for us, though, is potentially shovels in the ground, really working hard on the project in the early fall. So we need to make it safe for kids in the meantime and our staff. So we're going to, building upon the lessons learned at Vanier Seismic, create this students and staff space and then a construction space that will be firmly divided once and not again during the project, which we think is a good thing. But to do that, we have to do a fair bit of work in the space we have. The updated design, you can see where the gym is, and it's going to be quite a spectacular space. We'll have some full drawings up at the school soon. We're really into public spaces, private spaces, community spaces. There'll be a beautiful art room, maker spaces, and we'll have learning pods, which will be groups of 4 classrooms. There'll be 4 of those pods. Logical grouping of places, gender-neutral washrooms, seminar rooms, breakout rooms, teacher collaboration spaces. We're taking advantage of the latest in education and design. I think it's going to be a fabulous project, and the community's going to have a wonderful school. Our construction timeline, we get our drawings all done, tender packages out in August. We would tender between August and September, award in October, November construction begins. So on September 1st, we need to be at a place where students are settled and staff in December. Through to August 2021, so it's almost 2 years. We've actually been able to reduce it by having 1 phase. And in the next 2 years, where the red line slides through the building there, that is like our hard wall. On the right of that, that's where student teachers will be. On the left of that, that's space. The only space we're going to use in there is the gymnasium. Yes, we're going to have to travel outside again. Okay. But it allows us to do all the construction work in the areas that need to be touched without having to mix student or staff in that space. And so it should make for efficiency, faster moving, and safety for all. The old gym, for those who had the excitement of being in the old gym, which is at the far eastern end of the school, where you see Williams, Harrison, Taylor, that's going to be walls removed because it was a weight room on one half and a blackwood ground room on the other. All the walls are going to be removed in there. We're going to create a classroom space for 4 with an integrated seminar room in the middle. It will much replicate what's going to happen in the school. We get some of those processes earlier on. How do we adapt to some of that collaborative workspace? We're going to be getting furniture in early to which the furniture that the teachers are going to use. You can see now we're going to be using essentially every spot in here. We're also introducing a life skills room into the building. And we have to modify this because when you put a wall up at the end of a corridor, you create a dead-end corridor. So in order to do that safely, we have to put in some extra exterior exits. We're adding 4 into the school that weren't there before, which will be totally today. We're adding a full handicap washroom. We've got a new ground room. We have a space for everyone and everything, and I think it'll work out well. But we have a lot of work to do this summer. So the school is closed, and what does it really mean? It's closed to Lakeville neighborhood connections for the summer, although we'll be able to use the garden. And all user groups. There's normally Thunderball, international student programs, computer classes, cooking classes, all kinds of things that happen in there. They're all closed up for the summer because we need to be able to go at the school full on. We've all been informed and we've found alternate spaces for everybody. International student programs can operate out of Tunbridge for the summer. Josh and I have met with all concerned. Everyone has a room, so that will work out well. 2, transitional spaces. We get those ready for September. There's always a little drama at the end of the project for anyone who's slightly scarred by that name will know that. And so we anticipate that first week in September will be exciting, but I think we've been able to communicate our message to the school fairly well. There's no doubt that first week of September will be quite interesting. Of course, it's always but it kicks off soon, which is great, because as soon as we get this school upgraded, it's a safe place for staff and students, and it's going to be an improved learning environment, and I think it's a great thing. We're going to be ready for the next one.
Any questions to Ian on that? And the one thing that Ian did with the Fanny, I'm sure he'll do with this one here, communication is essential. On the district website and on the website, you will always have updates. He's really good at sending us updates and pictures on a regular basis. So, and thank you, Ian. I look forward to watching progress. They're good. Is there anything else from the facilities committee that you guys need to report on, or is that basically it there?
Well, the only other thing I would draw attention to, because it was a motion from the board at the May 28th meeting, and that's the district staff will update the long-range facilities plan over the summer, update enrollment projections, etc., and bring forward the facilities committee to the facilities committee in September for review, and then on to the board after that.
Any other questions? Hey, one question there, it was raining, was that, like, I noticed that in there, it was raining.
Yes,
It
that was
was
the
raining,
day.
so I was kind of bored, so
Yeah.
we started on trail.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
And that was the weather that day?
That was weather that day, I just wondered what if the raining thing came from, anyways.
So we're in a drought now.
Wasn't snowing yet. Would you like to make a motion to receive that report there, Trustee Hargreaves?
Yes, I would, that the Board of Education receive the Facility Committee report as provided.
Have a seconder, Michelle? Any other questions on the report? Seeing none, thank you Ian for, and thank you both Ians for your report, lots of information. All those in favor? Okay, and it is carried, thank you. Board of Business, I'm looking at the time here and I don't wanna rush, but, we've got lots to still to cover. We have a couple of, correspondence and information. Trustee McDonald, you have a couple of things here. Information meeting, did you want to report on that one, a quick report, or just to
Yeah,
highlight?
I have a quick report and I'll email you all copies, but, so on May 23rd, I went to this very interesting session on employee housing initiatives. This is, everybody was there, all the municipal councilors, all of the housing people, the partnership groups, the base people, Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development, because housing for employees is very important. Places that are resort communities like Tofino or Whistler are places that are resource communities, and especially with the, absolutely crazy speculation on housing that has taken housing prices out of reach of many. And this is impacting the school district too. Housing availability and affordability issues are in place. So the speakers included Chi Ying Ho, who's from the Whistler Sustainability Center, that's sort of their economic development. People from BC Housing and CMHC, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, and consultants that work on developing housing action plans. When Sarah Jane and I were in Harrison, four ministers spoke to us, and every one of them mentioned housing. And the urgency is not just about the homelessness, although that's a very important part. And one of BC Housing's programs includes a $7 billion fund directed towards that sector of the homelessness. But they have other programs because we need to increase the housing stock generally. And one of the key points that they raised was keeping public land, using public assets, all of our assets, municipalities and school districts, to create housing where it's possible and keep it in the public realm. That properties wouldn't be sold. That was quite a popular route of closing schools and selling them to private developers, and then the housing that's built on them being entirely speculative. And the interest now is in keeping public land in public ownership in a sense, but through housing agreements, through long-term leases, through transfers to municipalities, the regional districts. School district, we have some considerable amount of land, properties which are underutilized or surplus, which could be the basis for addressing some housing needs, and which in my opinion, could address some housing needs of our own staff. If we were to initiate a project and work with partners and be the people putting land on the table, that could give us a considerable opportunity to have all or some of the development that eventually was built be resident restricted. This is in Whistler, the housing projects that they have done, which are both rental and home ownership, have criteria that they must be Whistler residents who are employed and earning under a certain cap. And I'm sure that that applies for many of our new teachers and our QP staff, that there might, so my interest in attending this and the information that I got and some of the partnerships that are there are leading me to suggest, okay, so we would be able to, rather than wait, as we sort of have done in the past, for a developer to approach us with a purchase offer that would see public lands transition to luxury condos, we could be working with community partners for public
So
benefit.
Sheila, just before you, we actually do have a letter on our agenda from John from John, what was it?
Newman.
John Newman regarding
Yeah.
affordable housing. Exactly with that one there, to refer to the facilities committee, to actually have the conversation you
Okay.
brought forward. So we do have something on here that will address, I think, what you're talking about.
Okay, exactly. Well, so I have, yes, so I saw that in the agenda,
Okay.
and he is both connected with
Yep.
Habitat and was at that meeting and has been
Yep.
at other housing meetings. So in this case, what I'm suggesting is, we're not in housing business, but if we work with experienced nonprofit agents in the housing sector, municipal authorities, and motivated developers, because there are developers who do not just want to build luxury condos, we could bring land, a public asset in our trust, to the table in ways that would result in SD 71 employee restricted units as part of the project. I suggest that in the fall, the facilities committee, the wonderful facilities committee, would test the interest by inviting partners such as BC Housing and Macola Housing to discuss possible partnerships. We should ask the CDTA and CUPE to consult their members and see if there might be an interest in cooperatives or rental housing options. In the current situation, we cannot just stand by when we could play a valuable role in the solutions. So that is, that's where I'm coming from that really very interesting workshop, and I'm hoping that,
And I think we can probably incorporate into that motion that with that letter there, Sheila, I
That
think
would be
really,
super.
really covers what you're talking about. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Annette.
good.
And you also have a notice of motion that will come to our September board meeting. That was something that,
I did, yes. This is just to direct that there be multi-party consultation on the next phase of Lake Trail. I know that there has been consultation and that there is community space intended within that, but when it comes to the childcare space, I've heard interest in a neighborhood house model and other features being there and other partners coming to the table. And so I know that our staff are good, and we've asked before about consulting with these other parties, but it doesn't seem to be moving as quickly as it might. So this comes at if this comes to the September 24th meeting, that is quite long. I'm hoping perhaps that it will inspire action before then.
it's a note of motion.
Yes.
You can ask the board to
Yes.
consider adopting this. That would be the board's privilege. So you can ask the board if they would like to vote on this evening or
Yes.
consider it. But notice of motion, it's really important that we give our senior staff some lead time, no surprises on that one there. So I will ask you, if you want to ask that question, you can. I can't guarantee that will happen tonight, but you do have the right to ask as a trustee if the board wishes to suspend
Yes.
that notice of motion and vote on it tonight.
So we would need unanimous support for suspending the notice of motion. I
Yes.
would like that. I would like this to be able to move before November 21st, September 24th, if possible. Would anybody second that motion?
Do I have a seconder for her? Thank you, Michelle. And just to note that I did talk to our secretary treasurer about
Yeah.
consultation about this, so she's aware of it, because Victoria School Board has led the way with working on partnerships, so this is nothing that other school districts do not know about. And I did speak to the secretary treasurer about the opportunities that they could present, so this is not a surprise to her, and that's her area on that one there, so it is not a surprise, because I thought Sheila might want to bring this. I didn't want to bring any surprises
Thank
that way.
you. Well, the childcare piece is the early
Okay, hang on a second. So we did a seconder.
collaboration
I have to
is-
I have to
yeah.
call the question though, sorry.
Oh, right.
So all those in favor? It has to be unanimous.
Is it
Suspending it. The motion was that the board
suspend the notice of motion
Motion
requirement
requirement.
and consider the motion at this meeting?
and you seconded it. Okay, it has to be unanimous. All those in favor? It's not unanimous, so we'll
Okay.
come to September's meeting. Thank you, Sheila. So we'll deal with this in September.
All right,
Okay.
so there will be consultation on childcare space planning for the district, which was a
Yep.
grant received by the Early Childhood Collaborative.
Okay, perfect.
And it will hold meetings in each area and do some work on assessing need, which would then feed into discussions about what happens with the Lake Trail
Good
site.
conversation in September. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Tanya was going to move the next one here, which is school district PACs that we refer to the finance committee for review. She's not here, and I'll just give you what this is to understand what this here. Currently, the school district gives each PAC, I think it's so much per student, but it goes into the school fund, not the PAC fund. And some PACs know they get it, some PACs know they don't know they have it. And it's usually at the end of the year, if they haven't spent it, it goes back into general revenue. There was some conversation among is it to relook at how the board, the district supports PACs, and that's the motion, is to look at, no, we're not eliminating it, can we improve how we support our PACs, and that's what that motion is here for. And like I said, our chair of the finance committee was going to move it, but she's not here. I was wondering if somebody else would be willing to move that.
So there's no motion per se?
Yeah, so
It's
she's
a
not here.
topic that we
Yeah,
would
the motion should read that that the finance committee review school district 71 contributions to PACs.
Well, I'll move that.
Sure.
And
Okay.
I will move
And I've
that
seconded
as
her for Sarah Jane, and thank you, and go ahead, Sheila.
Well, does it have to wait a month like other notices of motion?
No,
Or can we
it
just go
was
ahead
already
and
on
do
here.
it?
It just,
Right, okay, well, I'll move it.
it's on,
Right.
yeah.
Some do and some don't.
Okay, and and like I said, it's not to take away the money, it's how best
First
we
time
can
I've heard of
actually support them, and maybe change how we do it, because as you know, the money goes to the school, and PACs don't use it, they kinda lose it.
Oh,
And it's how do we do that, and that was the finance committee came from that finance committee, but they're not here.
Not in
Okay.
their report.
All in favor? Okay, it's passed, thank you.
I think having any kind of clarification on that type of thing is beneficial for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is, the recommendation is that the Board of Education commit to student engagement forum around environmental sustainability beginning 2019. Do I have a mover for that?
Well, I'll move it, but, first time I've seen it, so you kind of usually expect a notice of motion and a month's wait. But I'll move it because I believe in it.
Okay, so that came out of the discussions we had with strategic planning. So we've had that conversation, and it's actually to, I guess Sarah Jane
second
seconded
that motion.
seconded. It came out of discussion for the strategic plan, how to engage our students and have that conversation. So it's not that we haven't seen it before, we have had that conversation. It's actually putting it into action and getting that we're committed to do it.
Okay, we seem to have a very interesting process, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all those in favor? Okay. And everyone had a copy of the agenda prior to, and you had the opportunity to read and have those questions. So next time, please let me know ahead of time if you had any concerns, and I can answer that and deal with those concerns ahead of time so that we have no surprises. Thank you. We had a letter, correspondence from John Reimer regarding the Hornby Island Community School. It's board information. I've passed all that information on to the Facilities Committee. They have that, and any information I get regarding Hornby Island School, I've already informed the Secretary Treasurer and Director of Operations. They will get all that correspondence. I think we're getting a few emails now and mails from them. They're doing a very strong letter campaigning on getting their school.
They have probably they might have 200 letters and a petition that has gone, and invitations out to various politicians to meet with them.
We have a correspondence from John Newman regarding affordable housing. The motion is to refer that to Facilities Committee. Do I have a mover for that? Thank you, Ian. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. I believe, Sheila, that covers some of the conversations that you had this evening regarding affordable housing and looking at what lands we have, and the Facilities Committee will look at that in September, and it won't wait till September.
Next time, I'm going to write a letter to the board, and then it'll get referred to somebody right away.
You have that option.
Now I
already
figured it
told you
out.
that. All
Yeah.
those in favor? We have a correspondence from the Minister of Education, and I've included the letter and also the funding progress report. And if you read it, just lets you know what they've done, the process that they've gone through. And they will be having more consultations with partner groups in the fall. They hope to have a decision made by December for the March 2020 budget for the 2020-21 implementation of funding. And we have no clue how that's going to turn out until we see that report. But it's just something I thought I'd share with the board and the community. We also had a letter with respect to our school district has been taking student teachers for many years, and this is a letter that we received thanking our district. And I'm not sure Superintendent, if you want to speak to that and the hard work that our teachers in mentoring student teachers and our principals do.
If I could defer to my colleague and
Yep.
you and Jeff handle this,
Sure. Yeah, every year we place student teachers in our elementary and secondary schools, and not only from VIU, but UVic, UBC, SFU, U of A. Jeff, how many did we have this year from VIU? Do you remember off the top of your head? And I can tell you, speaking to Sean Toll from VIU, every time he phones the school, there's never an issue. Teachers are taking student teachers in their fifth year and or fourth and fifth years all the time. So we're really appreciative of the work that they're doing and the willingness to share their practice and guide the next generation of teachers and show them the ropes. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's really important to acknowledge the work that our teachers in our district do in mentoring those student teachers, because eventually they're going to be our teachers in the district here, and it's nice that we want them to come back to Comox Valley. We want to be able for them to come back. Some of them are actually our students that are coming back home, and it's nice to mentor them and get them back to the valley and to teach. So that's it for our meeting, but I do have 3 presentations, quick presentations. I told Lisa and Charles that if they attended every single board meeting of the 2019-2018 year, that I would give them a prize. So Lisa and Charles have been the 2 mainstay in our audience since September, and I thank you both for coming out. It's been really nice to, sometimes I'm looking out there going, does anybody care? But I know that you guys do care. So on behalf of the board and myself, I would like to present you guys each with a bag of some ST71 swag.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I also have a presentation for our outgoing CDDA president, Nick. Nick, for the last 4 years, you have taken the time out of the classroom. I know you're passionate students, but you've been working with teachers and supporting your colleagues the last 4 years. And you're going back to the classroom in September. On behalf of the board, I'd like to also give you some ST71 swag. And thank you for your 4 years of leadership at the district. And I wish you all the best. Okay, so this is a time for a question and answering period from the public. And does anybody have any questions? Lisa.
I just have a comment to speak to Charlotte, her presentation about Vanier and going over the silverware. And I like going into the silverware the plate thing. You know, disposable stuff still costs money. And then I also had a thought around that perhaps they could hire back the union position that was the dishwasher that kind of went for 5 years ago. Guess that's
Okay, anything else?
yeah,
A question, right?
it's a question-ish,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Thanks. Well, it's a question. I guess Sarita's presentation touched on a lot of typical kids doing her outdoor education programs, and I just didn't really see where a bunch of special needs kids were fitting into that. So maybe a question could be, could they fit into them?
So I'm going to turn that over to our superintendent.
And the answer is yes. In fact, our teachers and support staff around the district work extremely hard to ensure that all of our children within this inclusive learning environment have the opportunity to participate. Now, obviously, our teachers and support staff have to work very hard to sometimes build accommodations into it, no different than we do. I know Ian works to ensure that our buildings are fully inclusive as well. And that actually is reflected actually in the strategic plan and direction as well, as you saw the fact that what we need to do is begin to plan and we're just our facilities be 21st century learning. So it's throughout the organization. And a very important part.
But duly noted. Good point. Any other questions? Nick.
First of all, comment. Nice job on strategic plan. That's a pretty good strategic plan. I can see a lot of opportunities in there. I like it much better than lots.
Thank you.
So that's my comments. Question 2. Am I right? Have you guys passed a motion?
I'll turn that to the superintendent.
Yeah, we'll ensure you get a copy. It'll actually show up in the minutes, is it not, Deb? No? Okay, so we'll make sure you get a copy.
We need it, but no one can write that.
You could, oh, come on, you did a pretty good work, man.
Hey,
I only got to 3.
Okay, it's a verbal report, but everything is actually audio, videotape, so it is out there that it is out there on the world to listen and to hear and that one there. But if people want to have those recommendations, I'm sure we can work with the Director of
We'll make sure you
Student
get it.
Services and ensure that we get that out. Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I'm going to, before we adjourn, once again, thank everyone for coming out. It's been a great school year, 2019, 2020. It's going to be a better school year. I'm looking forward to working with everyone again next year. To our incoming CDA President, Sherry, we're looking forward to working with you and seeing you at the board office now every.
Attendance is mandatory.
To our senior leadership, to the guys over the table over there, thank you for coming out and sharing your Tuesday evening, the fourth Tuesday evening of each month with us. We really enjoyed having you across the table and talking. I wish you and everyone at the table here and those in the audience a relaxing summer, joyful summer. Go out there and have some fun, and we will see you back in September, restfully, ready to go. And to Dean.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you. I hang out with you guys on my birthday.
Happy birthday,
Today's my
Jen.
birthday, yes.
Birthday.
Okay. And to our outgoing superintendent, once again, Dean, on behalf of the Board of Education, thank you for your time with our
Thank you.
district. We wish you all the best, and congratulations on whatever new endeavors that you have. And come back and see us now and then, don't be a stranger. Motion to adjourn? We are adjourned. We'll see you all in September.